Roots with Niger Baby in Texas podcast. Today we're going to be talking about divorce. I have a special guest with me. Her name is Ngozi Adebiyi. We're going to be sharing our experiences. Basically, our topic today is on how to leap after divorce. As we talk about our experiences or our journeys, for lack of a better term, we'll be talking about how we got to healing and peace. With the hope that it helps somebody thinking or going through a similar experience. Again, I just have to say welcome to my amazing listening audience in America, Nigeria, Germany, Australia, Canada, and the UK. I appreciate this community and thank you so much for listening to my podcast. For those of you who don't know, I've always been, one of my goals for this podcast is to be authentic and to share my experience in the hopes that it helps other people. So this is one of the focus for today's topic. It's been a year now since my divorce. Actually, this month will make it a year. And it's been an interesting journey. I've had some difficult times just, dealing with the reason I got here, just asking myself multiple questions, trying to figure out what's next. My goal for this podcast is really not about talking about the marriage or talking about bashing anybody in any way, shape, or form, but really more so, how do we move forward? How do we really truly heal and get ourselves to a better place where we can be our best authentic selves? And so for me, I am very grateful for my family. My faith has been really tremendous in helping me go through the experience. My friends, church families, they've really truly all mentored me one way or the other through this process. So it's great to have that experience of having good people around you to be able to guide you through it. So let me get to the next phase of this podcast of really inviting and welcoming my guests to this podcast, so I'm not the only one talking. But I have a good friend of mine. Her name is Ngozi Adebiyi. She has been a mentor to me without even knowing it. She's a childhood friend. We both went to the same high school in Nigeria, FGGC Benin. And go FGGC Benin girls. It's a very, I'm proud of my 1990 sets, or should I say 1991. You see, I'm aging myself without even knowing it. 1991, my sisters, if they found out I said 1990, they will probably give me some spanking. So 1991 set. And like I said, we're both childhood sisters. We went to the same high school. Our paths have crossed in one way or the other. But I would say it's just been a little bit more solid today, especially just going through life journeys. We've gone through similar things in life, especially, or should I say really, about regarding our divorce. And I think that has really brought us closer, because she's been one of those people that I have relied on during this experience as well. And she's shared a lot of great things through her Instagram handle, her Facebook page, and then most importantly, her book. She has a book called Grow. And so that has lifted me, and we're basically kindred spirits at this point. So welcome, Ngozi.
Thank you so much for having me. Humbled to be here and excited to connect with your audience. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies, wherever you are in the world.
Yes.
Bless you. And yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this. Yes. So Ngozi, we're so happy to have you here. So thank you for participating in this podcast. So I would ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, right? For me, you're a businesswoman, you're a friend, you're an author, you're a mother, you're a sister, you're a daughter. So who is Ngozi Adebiyi, right? Share that with the audience who they don't know you. So
just a simple girl from Lagos, Nigeria born. Yeah, okay, so really, really, truly, it's not, I really don't really like talking about this parts of me, like, oh, this is what I've done and not done, but I'm blessed to be here and to just sort of share my experiences. I run a consulting firm out of Lagos. Focus is really to, I would say our vision is to revolutionize HR in Nigeria and impact Africa, and that's my life's work. But I've also found that element of me, is evolving and growing, and just being able to impact women and, just sort of connect with kids from a foundation that some friends of mine run, and just finding my purpose and, just walking my through knot. So excited to be here. Thank you for the platform.
Oh, we're excited to have you. So let's get into this, right?
Okay,
let's now start talking about our experiences. So for, the next question I have, because again, as we've talked about, the goal is really about being able to help other people, right? Talking about experiences and hopefully somebody thinking about it or thinking about divorce or having to be forced to go through divorce by, a partner filing. How did they deal with the next steps, right? So what happens really during the whole process between separation to actually signing on that dotted line, right? For me, it was like going through the 5 stages of grief where there's that denial. Really, am I going through this? Is this really happening to me? Just, a lot of shock, for lack of a better term, as to what's going on. The next one for me was really about just being angry. Angry at myself, angry that I found myself in this position, angry with my spouse, just angry in general about the experience and just trying to figure out really how did I, again, get myself get here. And then bargaining, whether it be bargaining with God, bargaining with myself, bargaining with even my partner at the time, what can we really do? And then you have typical Nigerian the way we do things now. Everybody has to be involved in your business. I'm trying to tell you, you should have done this, you need to do this, you need to do that, bargaining with you to be able to see if something can change. And then you really have to get to a headspace where, there's that acceptance, right? And for some people also going through depression, right? Where you just feel low, you don't feel like talking to anybody, you're just within your own self, you don't know what's really going on. But really, truly, finally accepting that, you know what? It's happened. I'm not the first, I'm not the last that would ever experience this. And so let's just keep taking my one step at a time and figuring it out. And most importantly, my faith helped me through that. And just talking with friends when I'm actually down, or even with my family. My dad was pretty instrumental in just checking up on me regularly and just, what happened today? What's this? Or my sisters just talking about sometimes nothing, just making me laugh. And me being also vulnerable enough to be able to express what I was dealing with. And especially when you get to that sense of acceptance. So what was that journey for you going from separation through divorce?
So I think, again, I have to say, of course, this is a learning platform for everyone, and we're learning from the process as well. Hopefully, one person. I always like to speak to one person, and maybe multiple people will take learnings from it, but at least one individual there will just remember something from this and just sort of be able to run with it. But I would say that there's no one size fits all.
That's
and
true.
even when you say from when it starts, or from how did you put it? It was like from the from separation. For some people, it's not even separation. For me, it wasn't. Initially, it was, this has to work. Then there's the phase of trying to heal it, and then there was the kind of the double. I would say, I don't know if it's double standards or another stab on the back, and then you're like, okay, this is not going to happen. So for everyone, it will be different in many ways. But then again, I think the fundamental piece is that there'll be a part there'll be separation part, whether it came second or third or it was first, and then you accumulate all the way to finding peace. It was a journey. I thought it was shorter than it eventually was. But in looking back today, as you always will, Steve Jobs said, connecting the dots, looking back, it's helpful because one has to heal. I also always say that at the end of the day, when people start talking, because when I started becoming more vocal about it or being comfortable talking about it, I sensed that my healing had just started, right? Because the silent years or the silent period or when someone is just numb, I think it's the most difficult time, and that is also challenging because people don't then know, right? You're sort of trying to keep up, not necessarily an appearance from a point of view, you're just trying to safeguard yourself, but then also sort of thinking all those thoughts of why did this happen to me? Why am I in this? And maybe I can wake up and this will not really be
happening.
true or happening or real. And then, but the first thing I would say is just, again, looking backwards, is empathy, just being able to have empathy for self. And every time we speak about empathy, a lot of times we think of empathy from the place of, I have to show empathy to people, right? I'm empathetic, right? I'm kind to people. But the biggest piece of the revelation around empathy is being able to show that to yourself, because if you're not able to show empathy to yourself, it's harder to be able to do that for other people. And we always feel like, of course I have empathy. But the first part is, do you have empathy for self, and what are you doing for yourself? From a point of view of how you're caring for yourself, even if it's that you can't talk about the challenge, but what are you doing? Are you talking to somebody? You have to be talking to somebody, and I mean, not family and friends. Just talking to a professional.
Yes.
And that, I think, is one area that maybe I'll say in Nigeria, just very generally, right? Because I don't have statistics or anything to back it, but it's not in our character or norm as a people to have those kinds of conversations. Say, who I'm talking to, what, a shrink? I mean, like, no, it's okay. I talk to my mom, I talk to my pastor, I talk to my sisters or family, but they're not professionals. It's like, say now, I mean, I can talk to my mom and my sisters or friends, even if you have a rash or you feel like you have acne or something, but when push comes to shove, you're going to have to go to the hospital, right? And talk to someone who's a professional. I'm talking about it's health-wise.
Like a therapist, yeah.
No, I'm even saying, like, if you had a rash.
You got rash. You need to go see somebody about
yes. And then after, it's like, you know what? Go and see a doctor.
Yes.
So it's the same thing. Like, okay, you can talk to other people, but it's time you have to seek help. And I know when it happened to me, my bestie in she lives in the US, she was like, I'm getting you a shrink. I need to talk to somebody. And again, it was a therapist, but it was one of the best decisions at the time, because a couple of things she told me helped to sort of set the tone at the start, from just dealing with how this took off. Now, after finding empathy for self and just sort of walking that journey, it's not a one-day journey. It's a continuous process where I think, the more you can show empathy to yourself, allowing yourself time to grieve, allowing yourself time to cry, allowing yourself, but also then saying what next, and not just sort of staying there. The moving on part of it is critical, not moving on from the whole thing. I mean, literally the term moving, just taking a step forward, right, is very important. Just being able to, okay, what am I doing for work? What am I doing for income? What am I doing for all of the steps that you sort of find yourself in, and then telling yourself that tomorrow has to be better, and I have to be here, and I have to be here, because it sounds funny, but we all have to be here, because women have died for even less. What I call it, I don't want to use the word dramatic, but things that are even. It's not as difficult as divorce rather, or as challenging, and people have died from it. And even from this process, women have died from it. It was just escalating into medical conditions that cancer and things like that, and just being able to tell yourself, I will be here, and I'll be here for my kids or my family or my friends, and then showing up that I will be better for this. So I'll pause just to sort of pull you back in, Oji.
Yeah. I guess for me, what I'm hearing you say, which is important, is forgiveness of yourself, right? Because when you talk about empathy, I feel it's a sense of just forgiving oneself, right? Having empathy for yourself, for the experience that you've gone through, having forgiveness, giving yourself forgiveness for that experience, right? Yeah. And forgiveness also to the person that you've gone through this journey with, because to me, if you can't forgive yourself or them, you can't have peace to be able to move forward, right? And it's not sometimes it's a process. It's not overnight. It's going to take a while. It's going to take time. But having empathy for oneself is really, really important. Empathy for your experience, empathy for just your feelings.
Yeah, and then also allowing yourself show up and be present for certain things. So and yes, I'm sort of even struggling with the word forgiveness because I don't know that in the time and in the moment when this process or this journey starts, you're thinking forgiveness. You're like, kill them all, give me a gun, shoot everybody, just let everyone die. You know that kind of thing. Like you're just mad, right? So that even the piece of forgiveness, and I'll just dip in and out of this really quickly and go back to empathy. Because I think a lot of times, also in Nigeria, again, I'm speaking from that context of people will say things like, okay, sorry, now it's okay. Like Nigerians, someone's crying, like, don't cry now, don't cry, clean your eyes, don't cry. Like, again, I'm not saying loosely, even if it could have been that you went somewhere, you fell. And someone's like, okay, sorry, now it's okay. It's in our nature to sort of show sort of love or even empathy from that point of view, but that forgiveness piece of it, I don't think it is a process, but more importantly, it's also okay for you to tell yourself, I will get there.
Yes.
A lot of times people will say, you have to forgive. Don't forgive them. It's coming back to you. I get it. I know, but it's a process. When you're trying to pluck guava, you can pluck the guava from a tree and it's still hard. The guava has to be soft, for you to then be able to eat it or digest it properly. That way, it's there. I know that I have to forgive, but don't force me through the process. Like the butterflies, or if you help the butterfly out of its cocoon, then it won't be able to fly. Let me get there and come out of it before I can forgive, but knowing that I need to forgive. But I think people try to speed us through that process, like, be fast, quickly, forgive them and move on. It's not that easy. But the empathy part was things like, being if you have kids and your kids can maybe go to your sister, your mom's or whatever, and just be by yourself, go to the spa, to process, to just be kind to yourself and how you sort of show up in that way. Like if you're going, even if, like someone would say, you eat out, if you just buy whatever it is that makes, floats your boat in that time, but just don't sit and wallow only. And there'll be times for that as well, where you will cry and be like, woe is me. But then when you do, you put on our big girl panties, right? And get it moving. Yeah, but with understanding that, this is
it's
hard.
A process.
And it's hard.
It's very hard. It's very hard. When I say forgiveness, I guess I'll look at our mother's generations, right? Or at least let me speak for myself. From my own mother's experience, she had gone through a divorce herself. And so for me, my mother took a while before she forgave. And I know how that eats somebody up. And so I agree with you. Don't rush through the process of forgiving, but I have to also learn how to forgive. It's not even forgiving them. I needed to forgive myself first for being in this situation, whether it was created by me or not, for just my feelings, right? My thoughts, my everything. And just in order to be able to take that next step and not also repeat some of these things that I've also seen in my own life of having a parent who's gone through a divorce, not really forgiving that spouse, and just seeing the damage that also causes, right? Because in order for you to be able to move forward in life, it's not that she didn't move, she moved forward, she kept going, she kept doing what she needed to do, but that peace is so important. Yeah. And so in order for you to get there, you really truly have, sometimes it's not even about forgiving the other person, it's just forgiving yourself for whatever it is your experience or your thoughts are as to how did you get here? Why did you pick this man? Why did you pick this woman? Why did you allow them to do this? Why didn't you think through certain things that were red flags when they were, there are just so many things that people have to kind of think through and process. But you're really truly right. It takes, even within these 5 steps of grief, you can be in denial today, tomorrow you are angry, the next day you are in acceptance, the next day you are in denial again. It just depends on, you just have to allow yourself go through, it depends on the emotion of the day, and you just have to take, like you said, those baby steps and just take it one day at a time and allow yourself experience what it is that you're going through. So
I also just maybe add to some of what you said around the 5 steps. So I think the thing is also is that the steps are happening and one is progressing, but then triggers can happen. And that's maybe set you back to maybe another step, but doesn't mean that you're there permanently.
Yes.
Like you've moved forward, but you can experience the other steps, the previous steps, every now and again.
Yes.
But just to be mindful that, okay, the fact that I then experience denial again doesn't mean that I'm all the way back to denial. If I've sort of progressed a little bit, and being kind to ourselves in that sense, to understand that this will happen, right? It will happen, but hey, it's what it is, and I then need to start asking myself, what are my triggers?
Mm-hmm.
What are my triggers? Because once I remember a mentor was telling me, like, I was upset about my daughter's father not wanting to do one thing or the other, and he's like, every time we have these conversations about this individual, it's like, this is your trigger. Your trigger point is that he deliberately doesn't do certain things, and he knows that it will trigger you, and you allow it trigger you. And so you need to rise above that and say, I will take care of this specific thing, irrespective of what this individual does. Because what's then happening is that then you take the power back from that individual. And for me, that was an aha moment, because I was like, okay, so now I know that this person intentionally does this to trigger me, because and they cannot have that power over me on this. So I will have my backup plan, and then just be like, okay. So if it happens, fine. If it doesn't move, keep it moving. Because what will happen is once or twice after that, then the individual started stepping up, right? Because it's like, okay, this will not trigger this me anymore. I won't let this trigger me. Or at least I won't show that it triggers me. And more importantly, beyond even showing, I just don't want it to trigger me. So I would be more prepared. And I think for me, that's what we all just need to be aware of. When I then go back to denial, what happened? What happened for this individual to, what happened? What did I allow happen? Did I call when I didn't want to call? Or did I say, you know what I mean? And just being at peace with, I'm growing, and just acknowledging those baby steps as well for yourself, because that's part of the empathy. Just to
those
say,
successes.
because the child did something, like, okay, come, even when baby's walking and they come on, you can do it, yay, oh yeah, you did great, yeah. So cheer yourself as well, like, oh my God, this, I'm taking baby steps in this regard. Maybe you used to talk a little harder than, now it's not, or I'm even okay. I'm like, okay, if I see the person or not see the person, I'm fine. So, and just acknowledge that you're growing, so that you're aware, also that you're moving. Because that's how you then get to this
growth. And then you learn a little bit more about yourself, right? Through the process, because then you get to know who you are, what you want for yourself. Not that you didn't know back then, but it's all about growing. Going back to your book, right? It's all about that growth process of really, who am I? What am I? And what do I want for myself, right? And what did I allow, or what did I tolerate that was not acceptable?
Yeah.
I want to touch on, something. I mean, it's good to have great friends, mentors, but sometimes even with your family and your ex-spouse's family or your partner's family at the time, everybody has their own thought process as to what you should go through, or what you should deal with, what you should accept. How did you, for me, when you talk about empathy, I also think about, also being careful with who you listen to as well, right? Because sometimes family or friends, depending on the type of friends you're listening to, some of them have, you have the friend who is like, okay, I'm ready to, what do you need me to do? Where is he at, or where is she at? Let's go, let's go kill him. Let's go hurt him. Let's go do something. Then you have the friend who's like, okay, let's think about this rationally and all of that good stuff. And then you have family member. Basically what I'm saying is, there are people who are going to say things to you that are not helpful to you at the moment. How you have to get to, you need to get to a certain place where you're not just listening to every chatter, right? How do you get to that place to be able to eliminate all of that noise and find yourself in the process and what's really good for you at the end of the day? Because we all have to be able to figure out what's good for us, because not everybody that you're going to be talking to is going to give you the right words or wisdom. Did that make sense?
Absolutely. And again, as you're sharing, just took me back to how we started, when we said, if you had a rash on your arm or something, you could call your mom or your friend and say, hey, I'm seeing this thing like you here, and the person's like, oh, use abuniki, or put rub on it, or put something, aloe vera. And then after 2 days, you're like, I'm going to see a doctor because the doctor knows exactly what I need to do. And the doctor prescribes antibiotic and says, do this, right? You can say that everybody else who gave you advice on that was chatter. You have to speak to the right individual in the time and in the moment, because everybody will come with their own advice. And it's always from a place of love. You know, like your friends want you to feel better quickly. You know what it means? Like, let's go kill them all. Let's just figure out what needs to... Again, I'm using kill, but not like in the literal sense of kill, you know? Just putting that caveat out there. But, you know, just sort of like, And so for me, it's important to find it's a counselor or to find or a therapist or a shrink or, you know, that individual who has some level of expertise around what needs to be done. Because again, especially in this government, it's like, you know what, to organize to go and, you know, to do whatever it is to somebody or just confront them, it's like, it's not going to be helpful.
Or just laughing, trying to make you laugh or joke about something. Yes, it's helpful at the moment, but it doesn't help guide me to taking that next step, right? So, or being able to move forward at the end of the day.
So it's like it's that professional, that individual who sort of knows exactly what they're doing in the moment around, you know, what your situation is, and can be a little bit removed from it because your friends are in it and your family is in it. Like everyone who sort of cares for you is in it. But this professional is like, okay, I hear you, but this is like, I'm wearing my professional hat on, so this is how to show up or not show up. I believe that's sort of what has helped, or what has helped me in the time. And then when I say counselor, it can be even Christian counselors or people who, but they have a certain level of training to be able to address your concern and sort of give the right advice in the moment.
I think the key word is training, right? Churches are great, but there's some people there who don't have the experience to be able to give you what you need. So you have to make sure that you're really getting that support from the right person. Me, therapy is important. I don't shy away going to a therapist if I need it. If somebody to just be able to talk to who's objective, who doesn't know me per se, who doesn't know my, surroundings. And for those who are even in separations and figure out that they can, get back on track and they don't necessarily want the divorce, go to therapy, get the support that you need to be able to kind of guide you through that process, right? But we're just talking about our own process from getting to the point where you're actually divorced, what that experience is like.
Yeah, right? And I just to chip in here as well. I mean, I'm a coach, and it's important that in our profession, I'm an executive coach, and we have to have coaches, meet the coaches. And I know that for me, it was first having, I believe she was a shrink. She was a shrink, and I had a few sessions with her, with my friend paid for. But along the line, during my coaching sessions, it came up because those were the things that what do you want to talk about today? Well, this is happening in my life right now, and it became those conversations. So even a coach could address some of it because, again, and I think in the sense of it, because the entire coaching itself is very future focused. Like, okay, fine, something happened, but how do we address the future? Sort of helped me also steady that whole look ahead and what's the plan, for 6 months from now and 1 year from now, what do you want to see, where do you want to be, what do you want to be doing, so I think that's also helpful. Again, professionals will use, I'm a coach doesn't mean you have to go to a coach, but again, therapy in the moment when it happens is fantastic, because I don't know that in that time you just want to wallow and sort of talk a bit and then look at the past. I don't know that a coach is most helpful in that moment. So maybe a counselor, yes, because we did have the counselor. Even our pastor was a counselor when it first happened, and that evolved into me then happening. Okay, this divorce is going to happen, and then having the shrink, and then having a coach. So it's been along the way just different professionals that can sort of assist to steady and guide your thoughts or help you process. Well, you process your thoughts by just speaking to them because they ask you the right questions.
And they're trying to get you to healing and peace at some point, right? So, which kind of, I know we've kind of talked in our entire summary about peace, healing, but really focus on that journey, right? What that experience is like. How would you say you got to your own peace and healing?
Yeah, I don't know that I remember that this is the one thing, but it just started evolving. And I know today people tease me about when I put pictures of the clouds up on my WhatsApp story. People are like, "Oh, you on clouds," but it came from that whole initially just coming out, and I'm really having one-on-ones with God, like real, like we think about performance conversations at work, like having like, God, how did we get here? I thought you and I agreed that this was not part of the plan, and just being mad at Him initially, and then mad at God, that is, and then just evolving into, I need your help, I really need you to step in and help me. And then then evolving into, okay, crying to, and coming out to look up the sky and like woe is me, to like, you're too slow, God, I think you should have moved quicker. To then just finding that again, I just was, it was interesting, just sort of healing, where I then started singing and started dancing and having playlists for the season. So it was even called that season. And just being able to, in fact, even in the playlist, it's interesting how the songs first start from weird, like tissue crying songs, that to what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, to this is my fight song, to all of that, to today I have Flourish as a new playlist, with all my nice upbeat let's get to it kind of songs. But honestly, I think in all honesty, I think it crept up on me, but I believe that in having conversations with professionals, really praying and asking God for help, like intensely, and being okay with saying, look, I'm mad at you first, so that we can get to because you can be mad at God and stay mad at God for years. You wake up and be 8 years and you be mad at God, and that's not helpful. So be mad at Him, tell Him, I'm mad at you, but then say, how do we fix this? I need your help to get out of this, because then that's how it starts taking shape. And I'll make you laugh, because one time I was like, God, that in all of this I cannot not be Paul. I cannot have this challenge and then not have money and not be able to meet my needs. So I needed to step up like crazy. So we used to have those guys, again, like I'm talking to a friend. That's how it was, from because I'm mad at you, and then sometimes it's funny after that you just open your Bible and you see one random verse that really speaks to how you feel in that moment, to the point where like things will happen to me at work, like I just sort of get this role or this job from a client, and I'm like, okay, I literally asked you to step in. I can see your footprint all over the place, and I'm being at peace with that. So I think that also helped that whole journey of saying, just sort of God hearing and showing up, and I can't talk enough about it. Whether you're a Christian or you're Muslim, I believe that or the universe, like people would say, which is Holy Spirit, by the way, just find that connect, because that's the quickest, fastest way, honestly, to get to the microwave version, even though it can be years, But think about microwave version versus trying to bake a cake in an oven for a long time. It could be even decades, and you find women who never really come out of it. Like this, I had this, but then there are experiences you've had in the maybe second or third year of separation or divorce. Some people are like, this is my 14th year, and I'm just now coming out of it or starting. So I've said a lot to say that it's a process. It happens, but I believe that conversation with God, getting the professionals, having that as well, and being authentic to yourself, and not just because I feel the biggest piece about this whole thing is also the shame. People feel like it's the shame. Okay, well, whose shame is it? And that's a question I think I don't remember whoever asked me that question. Maybe I read it up somewhere, but like, whose shame is this? This is this individual's shame, right? Whether it was your fault or not, you can choose the shame. It's not my shame. It is your shame, because it's when in silence, that's when shame can thrive. So I'm like, I will speak up about it. I will say that this is what you did to me, or this is what happened. And then that's it. The silence, you've broken the calabash, and then it's out there. So yes, I said it, but I know it's not when it happens immediately you can say that, because you have that process of, oh my God, is this happening to me? But as soon as that, if you realize that what I'm going to speak about, and people are going to try and hush you up, by the way, like, oh shh, don't say this. No, how can people say this? But whose shame is it? It's not my shame. And you have to own that part as well, because that also helps with the healing process and getting you sort of further down the line. And I know people then say, okay, maybe for whoever is listening now, because that just sort of crossed my mind, you can be that individual who is like, okay, maybe I'm the one who is at fault, or as the woman, maybe I cheated, or maybe I did something that sort of made my family sort of break up. Okay, come to terms with that, and then decide, is this going to be the shame? Because you can speak about that and say, I did it, but now I know better, and then now I want to move on because I understand, and in whatever way I can fix it, I will fix it, even if it's never going to come back together like it was. But then owning that in itself is so powerful. You know what I mean? So either way, because sometimes it's like, well, like, you're not addressing my concern because I'm the one at fault here. I mean, like, we're not pointing fingers, but hey, some people. There's sometimes very obvious. If it was adultery and the person is a recalcitrant individual, then it will be okay. That has to happen. But if it was your fault, again, it's the same process by owning this and getting help, and then sort of trying to fix it in a way that brings you to peace and not be quiet or silent about it.
Yeah, I think for me it was, again, faith was very important to me. Just relying on God, crying, trying to get understanding, trying to get peace, knowing that it's okay. There's nothing for me to be ashamed of. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to be the first. I'm not going to be second. I'm not going to be the last.
Even if you're the first,
it's still okay, right? And when I say not first, second, this happens every day, right? It's all about life experiences. Everybody goes through something, and it's just owning what it is that I am going through and really growing and moving forward, right?
Absolutely.
What is that next step? How am I going to take care of myself now that I'm on one income versus two? Just planning my life and figuring out what makes me happy and how can I make the best of my life, and just being my best self. Sharing was also very cathartic for me as well, being able to when I was ready, right, to be able to share, and that way you'll have that. It gave me a sense of peace because then you hear other people's stories, and sometimes yours is not really as bad as others, but again, it's life, it's experience. You learn from one another, and just putting together what's my vision for myself, right? Where do I go from here? Where do I go from here? What do I really truly want to accomplish in the next 5 years, 3 years, 2 years? And then that's where that whole moving forward is. So I guess all we're saying is that there's peace, there's healing, there's moving forward, there's growth. And so do not be dismayed at the fact that you're going through the experience. And rely on, whether it be coaches, therapists, and find that centeredness for yourself to be able to really heal and move forward, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is a great topic. I know we can talk on and on and on about this. There's so many different facets to this. This is really just like a quick little overview, I would say, about it. So again, thank you so much, Ngozi, for being part of this. I truly appreciate it. And for those of you who are interested in her book, you can check her out on Amazon. The name of her book is called Grow, and you can get a paperback copy there. So go check her out. I'll also put it in the details of this podcast. And again, feel free to reach out with any messages that you have. So again, thank you, audience, for being part of this discussion with my really good college friend. I keep messing this up.
It's okay.
It feels like college because we
called it college.
But it's really high school friend, right? So just thank you for participating in our discussion today, and hopefully we'll have other topics at some point about other things. Take care and have a blessed week.
Bye.
Bye.